Peace and welcome to the culture right here on the Black Star Network. Folks, we got a great show for you today. Let's first start the conversation on talking about some of the latest developments in the case of the Buffalo mass shooter, Peyton Gendron. Now they have taken a look to find that Peyton went online 30 minutes before the attack to invite others to review his plans. I'm asking a question: when do we sound the alarm on social media when we're finding that other people may be engaging in violence? We'll have that conversation. Along with that, let's continue to stay in Buffalo as Black residents of Buffalo are still reeling from the attack, but they say that this is not anything new, that they face racism every day. We break down some of the key factors and some of the things that they are trying to deal with as they continue to mourn the loss of those 10 people. Later, let's talk about how one mother in Virginia plans to sue her son's school for teaching him and being influenced by critical race theory. Folks, wait till you hear what this mother had to say on Fox News. A white mother, Black son, will get through the whole thing. And later, Tiffany Haddish releases a children's book, but the question that we're asking is, when celebrities get into spaces that they are not the most adept to being a part of, does that take away from the effectiveness of their message? We'll have that conversation with Culture Crew member and writer and author Nir Muhammad to get the latest about that. So we got a lot to get to. Stay with us. We are going to be rocking and rolling. So thank you so much for tuning in. It's the culture right here on the Black Star Network. Let's go. Folks, welcome to the show. A lot to get to, so we're going to jump right in. First conversation I wanted to have today, folks, is about the Buffalo mass shooter, Peyton Gendron, the 18-year-old who is allegedly responsible for the killing of 10 people at the Top supermarket in Buffalo and injuring 3 in the process. Now, new information about what really happened and how this happened is emerging, folks, where now it's shown that, according to the law enforcement agencies, about 30 minutes before the attack was done, Peyton Gendron had gone on to a website by the name of Discord, where he had shared his long-awaited plans for the attack. And the crazy part about this, folks, he invited others to review his plans. Yeah. 30 minutes before, he invited others to take a look at this. Now, Peyton has been, over the past year, has been going through a number of situations relating to his behavior, his thought process, and most importantly, his engagement with law enforcement. But even at this point, many people are still trying to wrap their heads around how something so tragic, something so horrific could really happen. Well, Peyton lays it out. Yesterday and over the past couple of days, we've been talking about his manifesto, nearly 200-page manifesto, where he lays out his ideology, where he talks about everything from replacement theory to even wanting to commit suicide himself. But more so than that, he went on to social media platforms, and he not only just shared his plans, he invited others to look at it, and he tried to do as much as he can to create, by sharing a link, to get people, as many people as possible, to look at his plans, and of course to be a part of the live stream, the deadly live stream. I want to share this from the New York Times, and then we're going to bring in Culture Crew member Nakia Gladden to kind of give her thoughts on this situation. Take a look at this, folks. According to the Times, Mr. Gendron appeared to be working to build an audience in the moments before the shooting by passing his Discord link around on web forums where like-minded users gathered. At one point, he appeared to be planning to stream the May 14 attack, for which he has been charged with the murder of 10 people, directly to his chat room. It is unclear whether he did so. Let me bring in Nakia at this point because this is very, very disturbing on many different levels. Nakia Gladden, who is an educator and a political herself. Nakia, it's always a pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for joining us.
No, hi. Good afternoon. Absolutely. This is extremely disturbing. Um, One of the things that we need to focus on is that there's something that in terms of social media, there's something called the dark web that a lot of people are not aware of because he originally started this off through a gaming service where people are sharing ideas and talking to each other over gaming services. There's a website called Twitch, and you just mentioned another one where,
Discord, yeah.
yeah, you're familiar with it.
I'm not familiar with it. That's yeah. I'm not
Me
familiar with
neither.
this.
And I just read something on the New York Times about that. And I'm like, what is Twitch? I have no idea. But these are places where people are sharing ideas. And although I'm not going to give Facebook or Twitter a pass at all, because he only had 22 followers, but it was able to be downloaded and then made viral literally within those 30 minutes before he went and shot up that place. So um, they're also, to me, liable. But at the same time, there is this dark web that we are not familiar with, and it's not being governed at
Yeah.
all or regulated by our government. And that's an issue and a big problem.
The other part of this, Nakia, that I thought was really interesting, and I, this kind of speaks to where we are culturally in this country, that none of the 22 people that he connected with, or any other person outside of his network that he connected with, none of them alerted law enforcement. No one said, "Hey, this guy sounds a little bit too serious," right? Like no one said, hey man, like what are you planning to do? Like none of that came up, and um it made me wonder, do we need to have conversations about uh social media ethics and etiquette? You know what I
So the
mean? Like
problem is
and
that,
just because
yeah.
I feel like culturally, people get on social media. I mean, people talk of violence every day on social media, whether you're talking about the gaming site like Twitch, which is owned by Amazon, or you talking about what you said, like a dark web, like a Discord, or even some of the mainstream sites, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. People talk violence all the day, every day. So I'm wondering, like, is this just a part of the social media culture? But how do we break through that? How do we
Well,
change it so that if someone is really saying that they're going to harm or hurt someone or kill someone, that it can be taken seriously?
So there's two things here. The first thing I think is that when it came to him, um, the 22 followers that he did have were people who were like-minded people. So when they did share, download, and made that video viral, in my opinion, they shared that because otherwise, if I saw something like that, the first thing I would do would be to call 911 or to call whoever I needed to call in order to stop that from happening. So they were like-minded people. The second thing that I really I question is like if I was to say to someone, "Oh, I'm going to shoot this person today," right? Um, Rather or not, my words were just words because some people think that some people are just shooting the can I don't know if I can cuss shooting the stuff, you know what I mean? And think it's a joke, and then they act on it, but you knew about it. When do you become an accomplice? Why are Facebook and Twitter and all these places that are seeing and knowing that these things are happening? Why are they not considered an accomplice? In my view,
And I
because
and I,
I
and I
would be.
agree with you. I think that when we talk about um when we're talking about how should we engage on social media,
Yeah.
I think that's one of the big questions. Is like how do we make sure that people's rhetoric, people's language doesn't cross certain boundaries?
Right.
And I don't know why. I mean, like, we talked about this a couple of days ago, Nakia, where, the infamous video of him where you can see him in first person doing the shooting, coming out of the car in the parking lot to walking into the store.
Yeah.
Like, on smaller websites, it was taken down in a matter of seconds, like a minute and a half. On the larger websites like Facebook,
right,
it was up for 10 hours.
Let
where
me
it could be shared, commented on, the whole nine. So I think that there are a couple of things at play, and you correct me if I'm wrong on this.
Sure.
I feel like we are allowing certain type of behaviors to go unchecked on social media.
Mm-hmm.
And then who do you really call? There's no social media police. Like who do you really call?
So what I can say is that, I mean, I remember I had several hearings that I had to go to when I was on the Hill, and it was basically about Facebook and things of that nature. First of all, our government, most of them are made up of older, mostly white males who have no idea about technology. They didn't even know what Facebook was. Okay. So for the most part, there is no regulation there. So it's literally an entity that just can do and say, or, whatever it is that they want. That's a problem. One of my big things is in terms of the idea of free speech when it comes to social media. Okay, free speech versus hate speech, and then also the right to live. No one is defining what those things are, right? So yes, on social media, you can say what you want. I mean, I can see that in the chat lines right now. I haven't been able to read them because I'm talking, but you're allowed to say what you want. But if you're saying that you're going to harm me in any way, that's a difference. That's not free speech. That is hate speech and or violent speech. And that's something that needs to be regulated through our government. But our government has not even taken the time. And I was on Capitol Hill when, in like 12 years ago, 11 years ago,
mm-hmm.
they didn't even really understand how to regulate it. And they have yet to even get to a point where they want to even understand how to do it. As of this point, it's about advertisement, it's about money, it's about commodity, but lives are being lost regularly just based off of social media. Period.
Absolutely.
And that's a problem. And no one is addressing it.
And I mean, my hope is, Nakia, that people will start to address it. My hope is, which is why I wanted to at least have this part of the conversation, because it's outside of the shooter themselves. I think that we should know how something like this even happened, right? Like it has to be emphasized that this was not, quote unquote, a lone gunman. He comes from a supported community.
Absolutely.
He comes from a community that cultivates this type of thinking, that creates this type of animosity toward Black folks, toward the government, and all of those things. Like this is not a lone gunman. I want to share with Keenan. Let's start posting some of these comments because folks are checking in, and folks continue to share your comments because we're going to do some new things today and make sure that we have your comments right there on the screen because we want to make sure that you're involved in this conversation. Damon, I see you, brother. The dude is real crazy. He went all out, Damon. And I mean, Damon, he keeps it very real. But one of the things that I think that we need, but one of the things I think, Nakia, that we also should talk about is Peyton is 18 years old.
Absolutely.
And so Peyton has learned how to use the internet in a way to access the dark web, to access those gaming platforms where my son loves gaming. I understand it. But now, we have to become, and I'm saying we as in terms of the rest of us that are just learning about this, we have to become vigilant to make sure that our children are in these spaces to become influenced. And as Peyton Gendron said in his manifesto, that one of the things he wanted to do is that he wanted to radicalize people. That can happen right there in the gaming platform.
Absolutely. Just when you think that your child is just playing Xbox or what is it called that my child plays, Roblox,
Yeah.
and all those things, or
Yep.
Minecraft
Roblox.
or
Yep. That's
whatever
a
it's called.
popular.
Yeah. You have no idea how they are socializing. So it really does start from home. What are you teaching your kids? That's something that we definitely have to be mindful of, but not to mention a fact, and not to even switch the conversation, but you can go on Fox News and they're now pushing a narrative of something called replacement theory.
Yeah. We
And this is
definitely been talking
huge,
about that.
right? And so, unfortunately, our white counterparts, our white citizens, are thinking that we are coming in to replace them. And that is a huge thing that is making them now feel like they're emboldened to make sure that we don't replace them. So now we're an enemy. And we hear that literally on a national, well, international, to be quite honest, platform.
Yeah.
Because Fox News, I was in Amsterdam and I could watch Fox News over there. So the fact of the matter is, we're hearing this around the world saying that people are trying to be replaced, and so now there's a territorial thing, and it's not funny. That's number one, and then number two, the fact that this young man was able to, he was dressed in garb as like a militant,
Yeah.
and he was 18. He can't buy beer, but he could buy military guard along with ARK 14s or 15s. I don't know because I'm not a gun person.
Right. Right.
um,
Right.
but he could actually be able to do that in this country.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to go to this next comment from Belinda. Belinda, I agree with you on this one. If we want to stop domestic terrorists from happening, we should look at the parents. Belinda said, I still want the parents investigated. I know damn well they paid for some of those weapons, and y'all see what he's playing in that damn room. The
Fact.
parents got to be held accountable. The
Absolutely. Without
parents got to
question.
be held accountable in a situation like this. Belinda, thank you so much for your comment.
So you know about the trial where they put the two parents on trial because their son went out and shot up a school, and
Yeah.
now they're actually trying to hold them accountable. But that's only one out of a lot of these situations. When we start to actually say, and then thank you, Belinda, for calling it what it is, because they keep saying when these mass shootings happen, oh, it's mental, a mental issue or something like that. No, it's domestic terrorism. Let's call it what it is. Because when you do, then you can define it and then you can regulate it. But until
Absolutely.
it's defined, that's the reason why it's like, oh, this is, just a situation that happened. That's not right. That's bullcrap.
That's absolutely right. Janelle checked in on the comment side as well. Janelle, I love what you said about this 30 minutes, and he might have been clocking it so that way he can just put a little bit out there. But Janelle said 30 minutes isn't a lot of time for authorities to vet the posting. They don't know domestic postings like that. Yeah, 30 minutes isn't a long time. You drop something 30 minutes, they're investigating. It's not going to it's going to take a long time before someone flags it, or especially if you're in a gaming site where there might not be those harsh regulations. Janelle, thank you so much.
Can
Let's
I
go
just
to
respond to that really
yeah,
quickly?
go ahead, please.
I had a conversation with my mother earlier today because something really weird happened to me. And then I was talking about, when I was researching for this conversation today. I was on the phone with a friend of mine and I said something about, me wanting some product. I don't know. Because I'm on Google. I mean, I have a Samsung, but I'm on Android. And everything from that moment on that was on my feed had advertisements, literally. And I'm not trying to be a conspiracy theorist because I would say I don't want to be, but everything was based off of that product. And I was like, did somebody hear me say that to my mother? And then she called me today and she said the same thing. And I said that was a week ago when that happened. So they have the opportunity. It's called algorithms. They have the opportunity to understand or see those things. What are they looking for? Is it about the money? Is it about the advertisement? Or is it about lives?
Yeah, that's a great question. Great question. Look, we're going to
Because
take a
you
quick
can make
pause.
algorithms to see if someone is trying to kill somebody or have a mass shooting. You can definitely do that. Because if you know that I want this new boot, then you can know that somebody is trying to shoot up a school or shoot up something like that. You can do it. Do you want to, or is it about the money?
I mean, look, do you want the political answer or you want the real answer? Because the real answer is it's about money. The political answer is we don't have the capacity to do that. And that's the problem. We're going to take a quick pause. When we come back, we're going to have more with Culture Crew member Nakia Gladden, more of your comments. Let's talk a little bit about the fact that in the city of Buffalo, as Black people are still dealing with this great and horrific tragedy, this is just one of many instances of racism that Black folks in Buffalo are facing. More of your comments, more of your thoughts. We'll try to get to as many as we possibly can, but let's continue the conversation about the Buffalo mass shooting and the aftermath of what's going to happen for the Black community of Buffalo. Stay with us. You're tuned into The Culture here on the Black Star Network. We'll be right back.
Don't you think it's time to get wealthy? I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show on the Black Star Network focuses on the things your financial advisor or bank isn't telling you. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
It's time to be smart.
Roland Martin's doing this every day.
Oh, no punching!
Thank you, Roland Martin, for always giving voice to the issues.
Look for Roland Martin in the whirlwind, to quote Marcus Garvey again.
The video looks phenomenal, so I'm really excited to see it on my big screen.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
I got to defer to the brilliance of Dr. Carr and to the brilliance of the Black Star Network.
I am rolling with Roland all the way.
Honored to be on a show that you own. A Black man owns the show.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
I'm real revolutionary right now. Roland was amazing on there.
Stay Black. I love y'all.
I can't commend you enough about this platform that you've created for us to be able to share who we are, what we're doing in the world, and the impact that we're having.
Let's be smart. Bring your eyeballs home.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
You dig?
Folks, we have been talking about how the Buffalo mass shooter Peyton Gendron had used social media as a way to communicate and to share his plans just minutes before that horrific attack at the Top supermarket in Buffalo. Now, as the folks in Buffalo and the rest of the country is having bigger conversations about everything from gun control to violence against Black people to race relations in this country. The Black residents of Buffalo are still reeling from what happened just a few days ago on Saturday when this all occurred. However, they say that this level of racism is not new to them, that they have been experiencing racism every day. I want to share with you just a little bit of quick facts about the segregation and where Black people stand in the city of Buffalo. Keena, let's post this a little bit, brother. It says that Buffalo is the 7th most segregated city in the country for Black Americans. Now, this is according to the Brookings Institution report. The Black population had a median household income, folks, of $28,320 in 2019. So just in 3 years, we're looking at that household income. According to the University of Buffalo report, with a 31% poverty rate, and white residents had a $49,156 income and a 9.1% poverty rate. I want everybody to just marinate on that.
Take that in.
31% poverty rate for Blacks, 9% poverty rate for whites, $28,000 for the median income household income for Blacks, $49,000 for whites. This is a tragedy. And one of the big things that Buffalo residents have been saying is that they're segregated. The place where Top Supermarket is in East Buffalo. It's a majority Black section of the city. And this situation of what Peyton Gendron has done has startled and frightened so many people. This is based on the reports of residents speaking out against this. Has frightened so many people that people don't want to simply go to the store.
Right.
Older people. A lot of unfortunately, the victims themselves, the youngest victim, and correct me if I'm wrong, Nakia, I want to bring Nakia back into this, who is an educator and researcher. But one of the things I saw is that the youngest victim was 32 years old. So that means that most of the victims of this horrific shooting, 40, 50, 60, it goes all the way up into, I believe the oldest victim was 86 years old.
Yeah. And the sad thing is that the 86-year-old, and I'm pretty sure, particularly with the elderly community there in Buffalo, they didn't have to just experience this now. They've experienced this throughout their lives. We've heard stories, us being the age that we are. We've heard stories, but we have not had to live through that actual trauma to that degree. They've been literally living through this all of their lives.
And when you say living through this, you're talking about this level of racism.
Absolutely.
Gotcha.
And then that fear that you can't go outside, you can't sit somewhere, you can't drink somewhere, you can't use the bathroom somewhere, you can't go into this restaurant, you can't go into this store without being followed. We have been traumatized. And I know that they have definitely way more than we have. And you can't help but to just, this is why I love my community as much as I do. The fact that they were able to persevere through that trauma, and still have to live through it to that day, and then still have the trauma that they may have to leave behind their offspring to go through that same trauma. When is it going to stop?
So,
when is America going to make that stop?
And when the New York Times did this piece, one of the residents said, the devil was in this boy. The devil was busy. The devil was busy in this boy.
Yeah.
And another resident said, no, this is not the devil. This is America.
Absolutely.
Like, this is America, right? And I'm always going back to what Dr. Wimbush said earlier this week when we had him on, Nakia.
Oh,
he
you
said
did?
that
Okay.
we constantly make the statements like we're better than this. This is not us. And he says, no, we're not better than this. This is us. And I think that, and I'm finding out and seeing that if you don't call a spade, if
you don't
you're not
recognize,
very intentional
you can't fix
about
the
what a
problem
situation is and looking at it for actually
admit
what it
that
is.
it exists. How
That's
can you
the
fix
problem.
a problem if you don't recognize that it exists?
Yeah.
See, here's the thing. Most people who are being marginalized, we see it. We know that it's there. It's unfortunate, however, that our government, and although they make it seem like they recognize it, they're not doing anything to fix it. But we see it. I know it's there. What we're trying to figure out is how do we resolve it? But because there are so many people that are benefiting from the system that we live in, it's not getting fixed. And that's the problem. That's why you have protests. That's why you have Black Lives Matter. That's why you have people coming out. That's why you have NAACP. That's why you have all of those things, because we're saying, okay, I get what you're trying to say, that we can be, a culture or a country of love and, diversity and things. But you're showing us everything that's contradictory to that. And all we're asking for is you live up to the standards that you said you set. Do that.
Right.
And they have not.
Right. And that's the part about this. That's the part about this. But when you see this level of disparity, folks, and look, I don't have any family in Buffalo, so let me just do this very quickly. And I'm saying to all of our online culture crew, if you live in Buffalo, if you have family in Buffalo, I want to hear what you have to say about this as we're having this conversation. Is the state of Black people in Buffalo this bad?
Yeah.
Or are these the numbers that we have, the understanding of the plight of our people in Buffalo may be off. It may be wrong, Nakia, and I don't know. I don't live there, but I wonder for all
what
of
I can say is that
live in Buffalo, if you are from Buffalo, if you got family in Buffalo, tell me.
Yeah.
Tell me. And
please
tell the kid, like, what is the state of Black folks in Buffalo?
Absolutely. And I can say that you and I originally met during the Freddie Gray issue, because we're from Baltimore, right? And that was a huge thing with us. And that's the reason why we now still have this friendship and connection since then. I can't imagine what they're going through. I just remember what we were going through here, because it was an uproar, because we were so surprised that if something like that would even happen. So, yeah, let's reach out to our Buffalo people and, do what we can do. Y'all can hit me up on Twitter.
Let me see this. Mike V, I want to bring Mike V's comment. Mike, you always are being a part of the conversation. Mike said, look, he attacked our seniors. I considered any attack on our elders as a complete declaration of war. We might be there, Mike.
No, I'm right there with you.
We might be there. And here's the thing, because I know that a lot of people, and this is why I think, Nakia, that we have to be very, very mindful of how we have these conversations, because people are emotionally charged, naturally, understandably. But at the same time, we just have to know, okay, if we're going to talk about war, what do you mean? What does that actually mean? Because I think for Mike, and you've been part of the conversations, you are part of the online culture crew. Like I know where your sentiment is, but to some of us may listen to this show and get quote unquote radicalized.
Yeah.
They might listen to Brother Roland's show. I'm tired of this.
Yeah.
I'm tired of this.
So what I can say
we got to be very clear, and I'm glad, Mike, you brought this up. We got to be very clear about the language that we use, even as we're having this discussion. Go ahead, Nakia. I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry, and I apologize. But what I can say is that And a lot of my friends think that I'm sort of a nerd because I went into political science and worked on the Hill for as long as I did. But the reason why is because I feel like the reason why, and I know it sounds a little cliche, um, or like I'm fantasizing, but I want to go to the top because I believe that it has to be changed at the top. We can fight all day from the bottom. We can have voices. Now social media is saying, you know, that you can say what you feel, but that is a well-oiled machine. And no one, especially no one that looks like us, are actually going there, sitting there, actually being there in order to change it. Because we still live by whatever creed they set, period.
Yeah.
And if we don't have a lot more people looking like us, you ask a Shirley Chisholm, you ask a Frederick Douglass, you ask, you know, a Thurgood Marshall who shares the same birthday with me and from Baltimore too, so one of my favorites. But you ask them, they said, no, we have to go to the top in order to fix what's going on at the bottom, even though I hate that it's called the bottom. I wouldn't say that.
Right.
But you have to go there. And that, if the more people that we raise, us, that say politics is important, don't step away from your ability to vote. Make more people that look like you. And I understand some people that look like us could be, you know, a little bit skeptical, be smart about it. But that is the most important part because they are running this and they expect us to be ignorant.
Yeah.
They want us to be. Because if we're not fighting, we don't know why our gas prices are as much as they are. We don't know why our taxes are the way that they are. We don't know those things because they anticipate that we are going to be ignorant. Let's not be ignorant. Let's be smart.
Absolutely, absolutely. Let me jump back to these the comments. Brother King Lee, Brother King always bringing some fire. He said it is so shameful that these so-called food deserts exist. Shameful. That's and Brother King Lee. One of the things that was reported about Tops, the supermarket, it's on Jefferson Avenue. It's on it's pretty much like the business corridor for East Buffalo, right? And the residents described it. I've never heard a supermarket being described this way, but the residents describe it, according to the reports, as not just being a supermarket where you get food and medicine, but also being a hangout spot. They give food giveaways. It's like a community space. So this part of Buffalo is this section, East Buffalo is very. This is all predominantly a black area where black folks stay within the boundaries of East Buffalo. The other part about that is that Tops is such an important spot for this community that they don't have access to get to other places. And that's why the food doesn't exist.
That's disgusting.
Crazy part about it. And I've read this. They still got some of the caution tape up, and people still got to shop there. The shooting happened on Saturday. Now, there is trauma. Can you imagine the trauma, folks? I want y'all to really tune into this real quick. Can you imagine the level of psychological trauma? That you have to experience where pretty much the main place where you get your food and all of those, that becomes like a crime scene, a site. But then you got to go back there to get your food, your toiletries.
Oh, yeah.
You got to pick up your medicine. I mean, in a matter of days, like the community, and this is why I think this is, Nakia, why when we have conversations about the impact of racism, it's important for us to understand that even at a physical site, it carries a certain energy.
Oh, absolutely.
Where if the community doesn't do its part to process and to grieve, that energy of death can still be. And I'm not saying that people in Buffalo deserve this and they all did. No. I'm
it
just
manifests
saying that
itself.
the energy of death.
But you think about it, right? We have multi-billion-dollar corporations such as Amazon who owns Whole Foods. Now, here's the thing. When we call ourselves the United States of America, right? You have companies like Whole Foods who own places. You know this mass shooting started. Why wouldn't you be giving out your multi-billion-dollar? Why wouldn't you be giving out free food to those places so they don't have to go and revisit that site? They could they don't have to go back to that site, but they still don't have to starve in the process.
Yeah.
Because I would be scared to go outside.
Yeah, that's a good point. Let's go back to these comments because I want to make sure we get everybody in here. Janelle checked in and said the ideals of this nation on paper have never matched this reality. Not for black folk. Janelle, you know it and I know it. Not for black folk. I appreciate your comment. Let's go to Extravagant Tees. The Extravagant Tee says the government doesn't care at all. It's called modern day racism. Absolutely. I think of Michael Jackson's song. All I want to say is that they don't really care about us.
My favorite.
You know what I mean? That's where we are. Samsung 7 star. Samsung 7, check this out. I live an hour away. Folks from Buffalo are checking in. The whole upstate New York is very segregated. In Bergen, New York, they ride with the Confederate flag. Wow.
Really? Wow.
People might, a Samsung 7, people might have would have thought that because you're in northern New York, you're up in the northern part of the country, that it's not that way. I'm glad that somebody is shedding some light on that. Disdain.
If you go up to Maine, it's even worse, but yeah.
Disdain, NY, check this out. Disdain said, look, I'm a coach in Buffalo, New York, have football practice in an hour or so. It's that bad. And that's separated. I've lived in the hood and the burbs. The racial divide is bad. Wow. And Mike checked in and said, don't forget a year or so ago, the Muslims in Utica, north of New York, were also threatened by white supremacists for a terrorist attack for the same issue.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I appreciate the comments. Let's keep them going. But I'm at a place right now where when the people have been so beaten up by racism, and like I talked about a little bit about that top store, the other part of it, Nakia, this is something I think that you are very familiar with in terms of the redlining, the redistricting process.
Oh, sure.
That has kept Black people, not just in Buffalo, in East Buffalo, at bay, but it's kept Black folks all across this country at bay. Political maneuvering.
Absolutely.
Tactical strategies. That's why, here's the thing. That's why when you look in a lot of these major cities, urban centers, as they call them, whether it's Buffalo, Baltimore, across the board, and all the way west, you find that it's easy to find Black people, man. In all of my travels, in my years of traveling, I've been around the country.
Yeah.
But when you're in the hood.
Yeah.
You know when you're in the Black part.
Yeah. Right.
You already know. Let me tell you how you know. Liquor stores. Check cash.
I was gonna say the same.
Like the green space isn't there.
Yep. You won't see a Whole Foods.
You know what I'm saying?
You won't see no organic.
You may see a Whole
farmers markets.
You might not. Bumpy roads.
You won't. Might not.
Yeah,
you won't.
Might not. Yeah. Look, bumpy roads.
Yeah.
I mean, that's unfortunate that in any major city across this country, you can kind of go down the number of things that you predominantly see in a Black community.
Yeah.
And you can go and find the same thing. That's how I know that this level of racism is systemic.
Yeah.
That's how you know it's not like you got to drive far. In Baltimore, it's the same way.
Yeah.
Baltimore's the same way.
Yeah.
Chicago, I lived in Chicago for a while. Same way.
Yeah.
You go to the South Side, you in a certain neighborhood. You like, I know this. Black folks hang out.
And you know when not to go outside.
West Chicago, same thing.
Yeah.
So it's about all of that. But I think what is the big thing that we should kind of keep in mind, Nikhil? And I know you got to go. Our time has certainly been very, very well spent. But you got 30
I will
seconds.
say a friend of mine shared to me something that really just like resonated to me, and it was based off of what we were talking about in terms of social media and advertisement being more important in money, being more important than lives. And what he said was, Black lives don't matter, money does. And something we have to do in terms of a country is to start to recognize that it's not that deep. Lives do matter. And so we have to start realizing what companies are we investing in that are advertising with these places that are allowing these things to happen where our people are dying. Our people are dying, and they have done nothing to stop it. And that's a problem.
Yeah, that's it.
That's pretty much all I got to say.
Hey, Nakia Gladden, thank you so much for your time. We truly appreciate it. Thank you so much. We look forward to chatting with you again next week.
See you next week. Bye.
Yep. Bye. Folks, I want to continue to just very quickly, Keena. I know we got like a minute or so before we take our next pause, but I want to make sure we get our comments in. Folks, y'all have been so phenomenal sharing your thoughts. Let's go to Taylor. Taylor said many people walk to the grocery store several times per week. The security guard, Mr. Aaron Salter Jr., knew many people by name. That's how close-knit that community was. Close-knit that community is, in Buffalo. And our hearts and prayers go out to the family of Mr. Aaron Salter Jr. T. Foster checked in and said every city where it is predominantly Black has food deserts. T. Foster, I wish you were wrong. But you're right. And it's by the system. It's by design. Food deserts are created by design. Christopher Perkins checked in and said, look, we need resources. I guess in the Black community as a whole is broke. We need all new political leadership in Congress. I say fire everyone at the CBC and the NAACP and Sheila Jackson Lee and Maxine Waters. Wow. Well, you know what? Even if we can't fire everybody, Christopher, I think that it's important for us to figure out how do you get some new leadership, some new blood, right? Because there's a whole nother generation that's not going to just be complicit with the destruction and the detriment of the Black community. Davey checked in and said, Davey Floater said, every time we get victimized, we are told we victimize each other at a higher rate. Sound like cowardice and deflection. Davey, I'm right there with you, bro. I'm right there with you. I mean, that is an important conversation. We, of course, saw that conversation, of course, in dealing with the whole police brutality. Well, Black people kill Black people at a higher rate than police brutality. Doesn't take away the fact that Black people are getting killed by police. It doesn't take away that fact at all. So you're right. There is a lack of accountability there. There is some deflection, and certainly there is some cowardice. And if you look at, and I appreciate those comments, thank you all. If you look at the fact that we're in this space, in this culture, then we all have a great responsibility to do something. Now, does that mean you can go out there and save the whole neighborhood? No. But what I liked and what I'm seeing and what I'm reading and understanding about the city of Buffalo, Black folks there, Black people are resilient. We are some resilient people. We can bounce back like no other, right? Even in the face of death. Even in the midst of death, we can find life. And I know that could be the case for East Buffalo. I know that could be the case. Big shout out to those Buffalo. We got word today that some of the players from the Buffalo Bills came out and showed their support for Buffalo. Let me make sure. I want to make sure I get all of those names. Okay, we got 4 Buffalo Bill Hall of Famers that came out. Thurman Thomas, Bruce Smith, Andre Reed, and Jim Kelly all visited the neighborhood where the shooting took place today. So big shout out to them. My hope is this opens East Buffalo up to some resources and, more importantly, to some healing. I just can't get out of my head, folks, that imagine you going to a supermarket where 10 people was killed less than a week ago. You still see the caution tape. I'm not going to suggest this because in that part of Buffalo, they need to figure out how to find another place. They need a new supermarket. Right for East Buffalo, somebody needs to open up another supermarket. That is like sacred ground. I wouldn't know what to do. We had a shooting at a supermarket here in Baltimore a couple of months ago. Next day, the supermarket opened up. The community needs to grieve. The community needs to grieve. But I understand that if you don't have those resources in those spaces, I understand that it might be hard to shut down a whole supermarket. People have all of their needs and everything, but y'all help me on this. Y'all just got to help me. Y'all just got to help me. But I don't know what to, like, we need to, that community needs to find peace and healing. It is not fair. And as I'm going to say this before we take a quick pause, it is not fair to expect that a community that has undergone such a tragedy to bounce back with no resources, with no one there to help that community to heal. And I'm not saying that no one is showing up. People are showing up, but I'm talking about, you know what I mean? You got to remove the energy and the cloud of death from Tops Market. Because now that energy is right there in the neighborhood. It's affected every single individual, man, woman, and child. All the families have to carry that weight. It's in the food, it's in the air, it's in the water. This is where 10 people have lost their lives. This is where hatred lives. That city, that community, our people should not have to carry that burden by themselves. I got to take a quick pause. When we come back, we're going to switch gears. Let's talk about how one mother is planning to sue her son's school in Virginia because he's been heavily influenced by critical race theory, and she's not liking the end result. We'll have that conversation. And later, Tiffany Haddish has published a new children's book. But what happens when celebrities step out of their comfort zone into unknown spaces? Is their message still effective? We'll have those conversations up next. Stay with us. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
Don't you think it's time to get wealthy? I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show on the Black Star Network focuses on the things your financial advisor or bank isn't telling you. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
Hi, Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Folks, welcome to the second hour of today's show of The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. We have been talking a little bit about just the aftermath of the Buffalo mass shooting. Again, our hearts and prayers go out to not just to the victims and to their families, but to the city, to the community of East Buffalo where this happened. I hope and pray that we will be able to see some real justice in this horrific shooting. But just know and believe, folks, that the work of healing after such a tragedy is going to take some time. It's really, really going to take some time. So it's important that we stand supportive of our people in that part of the country, and then most importantly, it's important that we continue to fight for justice and to eradicate white supremacy and racism wherever it rears its ugly head. So we have some work to do as much as we are still healing. I wanted to switch gears because there is a story that has caught a lot of attention. And this is the story of how one mother is planning to sue her son's school in Virginia because her son has been highly influenced by the critical race theory curriculum. Let me just share with you the story of Melissa Riley. Melissa Riley is a white woman who's married to a black man who has a biracial son that's in the 8th grade. And so, Keenan, I want us to play just a little bit of what Melissa said on Fox. She went on Fox News and had a conversation about, I want to share this with you and then let's see if we can get that. But she went on Fox News and had a conversation about why she was upset with her son. Essentially, her son has learned about being a black man, i.e. viewed from the critical race theory. And when he came home, he started to act differently. So differently, like not doing his chores, not doing what his mother's asked him to do, because he kept saying to his mother that it's racism, that she was asking him as a black boy to do these things. So she went to talk to Fox News because Fox News has a balanced platform to talk about race and critical race theory. That's the perfect place that a person should talk about race, on Fox. Let me bring in Culture Crew member. She is an educator. She is an author. She is a mom, Nira Muhammad. Nira, good to see you, dear. How are you this afternoon? Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Are you on mute? You on mute?
Hold on. I don't know what just happened.
There we go.
I hear you. So I'm just going to turn my Bluetooth off for a second so I can just hear you through my regular speaker.
Okay. Awesome. Okay. All right. So good to see you again. I want to play this. Can we play this? I want people to see this because it's kind of hard. I just want y'all to see this. I want to play this, which what Melissa Riley said, and we're going to pull this up. But the idea that a black boy is influenced by critical race theory, you're in the education world. You know, we've talked about this, but this is very, like, for this white mom, this is disturbing. Like, she really feels like she doesn't know her son anymore. Hold on, let me make sure we got your sound in. Okay. All right, we're going to get you unmuted. All right, we're going to get you unmuted. Keenan, are we ready to play this clip? I want to make sure we play this clip, and then we're going to make sure that Nira can be heard loud and clear. All right, let's get ready for this clip, Nira. We're going to come right back to you, dear, and we'd love to hear what you got to say about this. Folks, this is Melissa Riley, and she's talking to Fox News about her issues with her critical race theory son. Take a look. Looks like we're still having just a little bit of issues. There we go.
It's not being taught in any public schools in America.
Critical race theory is not taught in schools. Critical race theory is not taught in any K-12 school in America.
That's a lie, and a dangerous one. Critical race theory is being taught in American classrooms, and it's damaging the way our children view the world. Melissa Riley saw the radical curriculum at her 13-year-old son's middle school in Virginia. Melissa's son is biracial, but he'd never talked about his race or racial issues until the school forced it on him. Melissa is now suing his school, claiming they brainwashed her son. Melissa Riley joins me now, along with her attorney Ryan Bangert, Alliance Defending Freedom Senior Counsel. All right, so Melissa, your son is, the father's black, you're white, and he'd never mentioned issues with race before, you're saying? What exactly changed?
Right. We didn't have issues before. He's in 8th grade. They introduced this critical program, and now he's having racial issues that was not there before.
What kind of racial issues is he having?
Well, he's seen himself just as a black man. He's seen things that don't go his way as racism, and he's finding safety in numbers now.
So when you're saying he gets a bad grade at school, he blames racism, or a girl rejects him on a date, racism, are those the kind of things you're seeing?
Yes, I asked him to clean the house, racism, yes.
You're kidding, right? Or are you serious?
No, I'm serious. They have totally changed his perspective. They have put him in a box.
So you're saying he doesn't want to do his chores because that's racist?
He's using it as an excuse because they've told him that that's how people see him, is as a black man that the world is against, and shows it as a negative now.
All right, so counselor, you're going to litigate this because obviously this is brainwashing and it's having a deleterious effect on this young man's brain. Is the school fighting back? What are they saying? Oh, we don't teach this, we don't do this?
Well, they certainly are fighting back, and they don't deny what they're teaching. They just simply think it's fine. They think it's okay, but it's not okay. It's never okay. It's never right for a school to teach kids that they're determined entirely by their race. It's never okay for a school to tell kids that bigotry should be fought with bigotry and racism should be fought by doubling down on racism. Those things are not okay. They're violations of students' civil rights.
Melissa, have you seen the materials that your son is studying that infected his brain?
Yes.
And what do they say?
And I talked to the school as well.
Oh, you did?
Oh, yes. So when this program was put into motion, I talked to the school, and they told me that he could be a black spokesperson for the black community. When I told him I didn't think that that would be appropriate, they told me that if he was uncomfortable with the conversations, he and other children of color could go to a safe place during these conversations, and that's segregation.
Oh, boy. And your son's father, who's African-American, how does he feel about all this?
I'm a single mom.
Okay.
So I'm teaching him everything.
Well, that's tough. And we salute you for that. And we hope everything works out and your son gets out of this phase and he can learn about writing and arithmetic instead of critical race theory. I think that would be better for him and better for everybody. Thank you guys and good luck. And Godspeed, Melissa.
Woo! That's a lot to unpack, folks. That's a lot to unpack.
Can I start off by saying that her son is like such a smart ass? The fact that he took critical race theory and used that as an excuse to get out of doing everything around the house, it's pretty genius. Clearly he wanted to rile up his mom and get her upset, and he succeeded in doing that. I'm gonna just start there. Farajii, were you not weirded out though by the very beginning when she wouldn't say critical race theory? She wouldn't even use the word race. Like, did you? And
see, that's the problem that I'm having. Like, okay,
there's so many issues with this.
Like, this is the problem that I'm having. All right, let me. All right.
Can we start with what critical race theory actually is?
You gotta say it. You gotta say critical race theory. Like, there's no way in the lexicon of this country that people don't know it's CRT.
Right.
Critical
I'm saying let's put into perspective like what it really is.
No, and here's the I want us to have a conversation I'm glad that you there are part of this discussion, because this needs to be a very serious conversation in this respect. Because many people could be like, oh my God, this is crazy, this lady crazy. But people don't understand, especially if you're talking about Black people, if you're not Black and you marry someone that is Black and you produce a Black child, there is a responsibility on your shoulders as the parent of that child to make sure that your child understands who they are.
Which we can see that she does not. She doesn't even really want to acknowledge his Black side. So the Black D was good for her, but having the Black son, that seems to be an issue. But it wasn't an issue for her to lie down with a Black man and conceive a child, but she can't even use the term race. I'm not understanding. That's the first conversation that I want to have with her. What made it okay for you to lie down unprotected and have sex with a Black man, but you're operating from a racist point of view? If you watch that video, she does not seem to be proud to have a Black son. She does not seem like she's embracing his Blackness, that she even wants him to understand or know that his skin color does mean something. And then she doesn't even understand what critical race theory is, because if she ever took a moment to say, well, you know what? Let me see, what is critical race theory? In itself.
No,
that in itself. Exactly. She doesn't even know what it is herself. So you're upset that your child is learning that the institutions in America, i.e. our social justice system, education system, that they aren't steeped in racism. You can honestly say that. It's just like, wake up, lady. She's living in this bubble that she's created, or that she's been, I don't know, possibly raised in. But I'm just very curious as to how she even ended up with a Black man. I think that's the part that I'm kind of like.
I think like that's the $64,000 question, right? Like you
don't like Black people,
right? Like, you don't sound like you like Black people, let alone having a Black child.
Yeah.
All right, I want to bring some comments in, because
it was a fantasy of hers that she had in college or some shit.
Maybe, and maybe that's why it didn't work out. Maybe that's why she's a single mom at this point. I don't know.
It's weird.
I don't know. Let's start posting some comments, Keenan, because a lot of people want to check it in right now. Damon, I know my man Damon has something to say, boy. Damon, she didn't even know what to call it. That critical thing.
Right, Damon. I was like, what?
Oh, man.
She knew what to call it. She didn't want to say the word.
Right. All right, Oil King. Check this out. Oil King said, the boy just doesn't want to do his chores, and these white folks trying to use it against us.
Exactly. It's called finessing. That's what Black people call it. Like, let me DM you some black terminology so you can relate to your Black son.
Zamara, the Slayer.
That's Xiomara.
Thank you so much. Xiomara, the Slayer. My son is mixed. I teach him he is Black. His father tells him he is not, but that he is mixed as if there is a difference here in America. Now, that's why I said that let's have a very, very important conversation around this, because if you are in a relationship, and that's not even just have to be black and white, it could be
Asian
American and black people, Asian American and white people, Latino black people, Latino and white people. You know what I mean? Like, it can go in so many different ways, and it's like, you have to know, like, once a child gets into the picture, you have to make an effort to make that child understand, like, yo, you are this person. Because, dear, I think here's the problem I'm foreseeing, and you tell me if I'm wrong. Like this lady, Melissa Riley, your son is going to grow up in a bubble. He's going to think one way, and look, and you talk, and this I think is so ironic. She talks about brainwashing of critical race theory. When you don't teach your son about being a black man, he's clearly a black boy. He's clearly a black boy. What are you doing?
Babe, she has an issue. She literally said he's finding strength in numbers. That I translated that as he's starting to hang around black people. And she
Which
doesn't
bothers
like
his
it.
mom.
It bothers his mom that he wants to hang around people who not only look like him, but can relate to the same struggles that he's going to face regardless of whether or not he has a black mom. And even we didn't get to see what he looks like, but I know biracial children who don't look biracial. And if we go to celebrities, J. Cole, if you look at J. Cole, you think he's just another light-skinned black man. You're not going to look at J. Cole and be like, oh, he has a white mom. You would look, even Shamar Moore, to me, I didn't, like, growing up, I didn't think of Shamar as like having a white mom. Shamar Moore was just light-skinned to me. You know what I'm saying? It was like, I mean, he's like my complexion and I'm not mixed. You know, both of my parents are black. So it's just like, as black people, we're so many different shades and so many different colors that, you know, I can understand the dad's perspective and him saying, you know, I want to teach our son that he is mixed, because 50% of him is what his dad is and the other 50% is what his mom is. But as the mother was saying, and as we just said, because black people are so many shades on the spectrum, you're classified, you're identified, you're profiled as being black.
That's it.
They don't care. When they look at your license, it doesn't say my mom is white, my dad is black.
That's
so I was raised by my white mom.
That's it.
Not my black dad. No. I don't relate to my black side. No, this is not.
Hey, look.
This is not the Reconstruction period when black people are pretending to pass as white.
Let's think about one of the most famous children of biracial parents, President Obama.
Oh, for sure. For sure. The moment that he does something wrong,
he's black.
He's not even black. He's the N-word. He's the N-word.
He's the N-word. Let's go back to the comments. Tiana, she mad at her baby daddy.
Exactly.
Tiana, and you know what? And I mean, we can laugh at that, but I think that in the real sense of things, and Tiana, I think you're absolutely right. She might have some real
deep-seated
serious affairs of the heart.
Yep.
Because
did you see her response, her body, like her language when she was like, when they asked about the dad, he's not in the picture. Like, I get it. He's not in the picture. That sucks. But it's the way she said it in her body language that was like.
Well, because again, here's the thing too, dear. When we think about single mother homes, who's the first person that we think about?
Oh, a black woman.
So now here's a white woman having to carry that stigma.
She done got by a black man too.
A single mother raising a black boy. Now it sounds like based on that interview, like she got full custody. I don't know what the dad is.
She made it sound like dad wasn't even in the picture.
Dad didn't even have no. So she said, "I'm teaching him everything."
Yeah. Now that could be, but we don't know what the other side is. The dad this may be a situation where dad's been fighting to be a part of the kid's life. I'm gonna be real. I do know situations like that where women are like, no, we're not together, and they just use the child as leverage, and it's crazy. I would never just be like, I want to put that all on the dad, because there are a lot of good dads out there who want to be good dads and aren't given the opportunity. So black men, I got y'all back.
No, I always got my brother's back. And here's the thing, though. The thing that I it's, and I mean, look, this is just my school of thought, folks, and this ain't, whether you agree with it or not, we could talk about it. But the fact is, A woman can't just raise a black boy by herself expecting him to be a man. It's been done.
Mm-hmm.
We know it's been done. We can go down that road and we can have all the conversation about it. Yes, we know
But you
women
gotta add
raise black
football
boys.
coaches. You have to add in the mentors, the uncles.
Come on, man. Like,
the
stop
big
acting like the
cousins,
man in a boy's life
Mr.
is not
Larry.
needed.
They need a black man. That's why we
That boy need a black man.
That's why we had the conversation about the importance of having more black male teachers.
Facts.
So if they're not in the home, at least they might be getting it in the school. We've been, but black men, I just want to say real quick, we need you in the home, or not even. And that's not to say if the relationship doesn't work, you got to stay in the home. But the child needs you on a day-to-day basis. I'm not talking about you just pop in once a month. Your child needs you. It takes two people to make a child. So there are two people needed to raise that child, whether you're in the home or not.
Yeah. JT Max said he's probably, speaking of the father, he's probably not in the picture because she keeps him out of the picture. That could be we don't know.
Very well could be.
He could be out of the picture. We don't know, right? I mean, that could be a situation. Sonia checked in and said, look, the mother is seeing how her son is breaking out of her bubble and beginning to see how his black side is being treated in America and questioning everything.
And honestly, like, yes, I think that maybe and even in his way of handling what he's learning at school, clearly I know his teacher is not teaching him that, oh, because you're black, when your mom tells you to do your chores, not to do it. That's not even what critical race theory is. That's not what he's being taught. This is him choosing this method to rebel. He's choosing to be rebellious and using, oh, well, I can't do this, mom, but maybe he's rebellious because, mom, you're not allowing him to learn about himself.
Yeah.
Maybe he's rebellious because you have him in a setting, constantly in a setting where he feels like he is the minority. Because let's be real, your son is the minority. When you take him out all your little country club friends, he's still going to be the minority. He's still going to have the feelings that he's feeling. And Bubble, he's about to go to high school. I don't care if you're white, black, whatever your race is. When your child starts to get around that 14-year-old mark, they are going to start branching out. I don't care if it's a two-parent household, whatever. That's the age when they start getting a lot more curious about a lot of things, and they may or may not discuss all those things with you, but they are going to try you. They're going to try their hand to see, what can I get away with? How's my parent going to respond? That's what children do. They test us. As a parent, how do you respond? Okay, bet. You don't want to do your chores? Guess what? I'm going to have to take your cell phone. That's how you handle that as a mom. Be a mom. Get some backbone.
Let's go back to the comments, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. I want to go to Michael Smith. Keenan, let's post Michael Smith's comment because I think this is a good one as well. The children are suffering from what is known as an identity crisis. Most biracial people in this country have that problem. I would agree.
Especially when they're not getting fed from both
there
sides.
It is.
I think you don't have to go through that just because you're biracial. First of all, you don't have to go through an identity crisis because you're biracial, period. People go through identity crisis, especially, like I said, middle schoolers. I work in a middle school. That is the age where they are most susceptible. Can't even talk today. But they're the age that they're going through puberty. They're going through all these hormonal changes. What group do I fit in with? What friends do I fit in with? Who do I want to be? Who am I? They're asking themselves a lot more serious questions. Of course, they ask themselves those questions when they're younger, but as they're starting to go through that hormonal stage, that peak right before they get to high school, they're all going through an identity crisis. They're acting out because they're going through identity crisis. They're acting out because they want attention. There's so many different reasons why children act out. That's what his mother should be trying to figure out. Instead, she would rather use her own racism, right?
Which is crazy.
To take what he's learning at school and turn it into a negative.
And turn it into
because of the way that her son is using it.
And acting out. And just to throw it out there, dear, the fact she retained a lawyer.
Yeah, she's insane.
Like, you really spent some money to get somebody, and the lawyer tried to come across as being very lawyerish, right?
Yeah.
Where he says, well, they should not be, the school is violating the standards and the rules because it's encouraging a certain level of identity. Look,
That is not even, the sad part is that when educated people have come up with their own assumptions of what critical race theory is without actually learning about what critical race theory is. Critical race theory is so important. It's so important. It's important for all. First of all, we're always talking about how are we going to make change? How can we better these institutions? If you can't have real conversations about our institutions, how are we ever going to make change? Change can't just be made from the Black side, and change can't just be made from the white side. Change has to be made from all participating people. We have to learn these things. Our children, especially Black children, they do need to learn how to move in this country. They do need to learn how the financial institutions are going to treat them, how our judicial system is going to treat them, and so much more. Like, it's pure ignorance, and it's Fox News. And so for me, watching Fox News is like watching SNL. It's comedy, and it's just, but it's sad because it's dripped in people that are actually truly blindfolded. You know what I mean? Like, you guys are the people that are really living in denial. It's not everybody else. You know what I mean?
I mean, I agree with you. The sad part also about it being on Fox News is that it's real.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's real. Like, this is
very,
not
very
SNL.
real.
Like, this is actually
and
real.
look, Black people don't need to have any level of, Black people don't need to be educated about race in this country. We don't, in a sense.
No, but our children do.
Our children do. Here's what I'm saying, and just hear me out. I'm saying, because every single day that we wake up,
oh, we're Black.
We have to by conditioning, by design, and some people would even go as far as say by DNA, we confront. We have to face race every day we look in the mirror. I'm a Black man, I'm a Black woman, I'm a Black boy, I'm a Black girl. Like, we carry that weight. Yeah. And for a long time, not only we just carry it, like as a child, you carry the weight, and it's not until you grow into your understanding that you can start to name what that weight is. But the weight is race. The weight is I'm Black. Yeah. So you carry that. White people don't wake up and say, hey, I'm white. Right. It's not the same. And then the reason I say that is because if y'all have never read the book by Robin DiAngelo called White Fragility, she talks about this in her book. It's a great book. It's one of the landmark books in terms of whiteness scholars. But she talks about that. She said, and this is a white woman, she said, white people don't have to think about their community.
No.
That's why, and again, she said this in the book. So if you say, oh, that's racism, it's in her book. She said that's why there is an individualistic view that white people have when it comes to racism. They say, well, I'm not racist.
Yep.
Because it's not in them.
That's the big thing.
They're in the majority.
Yeah, that's like the big reason that, you know, the rebuttal that white people have who oppose critical race theory. Well, I don't want it to be taught that we're racist. That's not us. Like, that's in the past. That happened before. They want to pretend that racism doesn't still exist, that institutions aren't still upholding the foundation and the fabric of racism. And that's the big issue. It's like, oh, I have a Black friend, and it's like, that's the first thing that you could say that's going to piss me off and make you think that you're racist. The moment that you hello, I'm not a racist, I have a Black friend, you're like, hold up, wait a minute. Having a Black friend does not make you, mean that you're not a racist. So I think that even confronting, like, what critical race theory is, what race is in this country, and what, like, the history of it, but then not even just the history, because so many of those foundations are still being upheld. Oh my gosh, what was it that we just talked about right here on the show? I think you were talking about the banks, Wells Fargo, and some of the other banks, and so many of the issues that Black people had in getting home loans. If we even talk about the wealth gap in this country, that all of that stuff is like a full circle that goes right back to racism. Yep. All of it. So how can you say that we shouldn't teach this when it's still impacting and affecting all of us today? And white people need to learn this stuff too, because they're the ones that are running these institutions. They're the ones who honestly can make a lot of the changes that we need to see happen. But if you are still so ignorant about it, if you want to still keep pretending that you and your ancestors and your offspring are not still benefiting from slavery and racism in this country, you are blind and you're a liar. or just in denial. And I think a lot of us as Black people, we're sick of it. And that's why we keep pushing and fighting for critical race theory to not be removed from schools. Because Virginia, I thought that was a state that they were trying to really throw critical race theory out of the schools entirely, make it against the law. So the fact that it's even being taught in Virginia says that there are Black people there that are fighting for their story to be told, for their reality to be told and taught to the children who need it the most, because they're going to be the ones that grow up and impact our future.
Absolutely. Folks, we got to take a quick pause. I hope this lady gets some real help.
Me too.
I really do, folks. I hope she gets some real help, because at this point, and I hope her son, I hope she gets some real help for the sake of her son. Because if she's going to fight her son, who is in the 8th grade right now, if she's fighting her son about who he is, he's going to wind up hating her, because she did not create a space for him to be himself. And y'all already know that when you don't give your children space for them to be themselves, they might follow your directions while they're under your roof, but they become a totally different person as soon as they leave the house. And trust and believe, folks, we don't want to be at odds with the future. We just don't want it. All right, we got to take a quick pause. When we come back, let's talk about Tiffany Haddish releasing a new children's book. And it begs the question, folks, when celebrities kind of go off of there into a new space to try to make an impact, does it dilute the message? Does it take away from what the new space is all about? We'll have this conversation. We're checking in with writer and host of the Queen Talks with Nir Muhammad, host Nir Muhammad, to get the latest and her thoughts about this statement. And of course, we got Trends posting doing the most. So stay with us. We got a lot to get to in the final 30 of the culture right here on the Black Star Network.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Don't you think it's time to get wealthy? I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show on the Black Star Network focuses on the things your financial advisor or bank isn't telling you. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
It's time to be smart.
Roland Martin's doing this every day.
Oh, no punches! Thank you, Roland Martin, for always giving voice to the issues.
Look for Roland Martin in the whirlwind, to quote Marcus Garvey again.
The video looks phenomenal, so I'm really excited to see it on my big screen.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
I got to defer to the brilliance of Dr. Carr and to the brilliance of the Black Star Network.
I am rolling with Roland all the way.
Honored to be on a show that you own. A Black man owns the show.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
I'm real revolutionary right now. Roland was amazing on there.
Stay black. I love y'all.
I can't commend you enough about this platform that you've created for us to be able to share who we are, what we're doing in the world, and the impact that we're having.
Let's be smart. Bring your eyeballs home.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
You dig?
It's time to be smart. When we control our institutions, we win. This is the most important news show on television of any racial background. Y'all put $2, $3, $4, $5, $10, $15, $20, $30 on this and keep this going. What you've done, Roland, since this crisis came out in full bloom. Anybody watching this, tell your friends. Go back and look at the last 2 weeks, especially of Roland Martin Unfiltered. I mean, hell, go back and look at the last 2 days. You've had sitting United States senators today, Klobuchar and Harris. Whatever you have, you can bring to Roland Martin Unfiltered to support it, please do, because this information may literally save your life.
Watch Roland Martin Unfiltered daily at 6 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, or Periscope, or go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com.
All right, folks, welcome back. Let's talk a little bit about how one celebrity is deciding to use her voice, and that is comedian, actress, Miss Tiffany Haddish. Tiffany has decided to go into a new space by talking and not by talking, but she wrote a new book, a new child's book, and it's called Layla, The Last Black Unicorn. Now, this book is all about making sure a little Black girl learns about who she is and why it's important for her to be herself. So I thought about having this conversation with our resident book aficionado, Nira Muhammad, who's also the host of Queen Talks with Nira, and she is a author/writer herself, to kind of get her take of the idea that when celebrities and folks with high platforms, that when they go into these new spaces like Tiffany Haddish, who's known for her comedy and known for her movies, now she's a writer, something gets lost in the process. Let's bring Nira Muhammad, Culture Crew member, back into the conversation. Dear, do you feel like this? Do you feel like this is good for the culture? Or where you stand on this? Because you are an author, you a writer. You have spent time, like you have, of course, your book collection, which you over 2,000 books.
Yeah, give or take, yeah.
Now you all humble. You got books everywhere.
I do have books everywhere. It's so bad. Like I have like 4 books I'm reading right now on the side of my bed. I'm like
storage bins full of books. But you teach. Not only do you have books, you collect books. But you have children's books, you have adult books. But what does it mean, like when you see Tiffany Haddish, like a person like Tiffany Haddish, who says, "Okay, I want to be a publisher"? Does that like add to the culture?
Yeah, I mean, if it's a good book and it's a good message and well written and properly edited, and it's not another Catherine Pugh.
Yeah,
healthy Holly book that's riddled with grammatical errors, and it sounds like it's a really cute book. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not a big supporter of celebrity books just because I don't know, I guess for my own selfish reasons. I'll admit it. This is my own little jealous shortcoming. I just think it's really easy for them to get some of these deals just because of their platform.
So you saying that
you can get a book deal, whereas if you're a writer who's sending out query letters all over and trying to get your book picked up by a publisher and you're constantly just overlooked, and sometimes you do feel like for a celebrity they can easily come. They have those connections. It's easy for them to get books published, and then often they get they put their name on a book that they didn't write. Obviously, most of them don't write their own books, I'm sure, but. It sounds like it's a really, really cute book. I'm actually curious to see it. It sounds like it's a very adorable book. And by all means, do your thing. I see a lot of celebrities going in these different directions. Yeah, it looks really cute.
So
it's about a unicorn. Okay, cool. That's cute. No, I'm sorry. like I was thinking like I was thinking that's different. She didn't want to go with like a little black girl. She wanted to do the last black unicorn. So she's as an anomaly to play on race. Okay, cool. I like it. It's cute. It's a cute book. It's a children's book.
And you're very I'm happy that
Why,
we're having this
but
conversation.
like it says New York Times best-selling author and comedian. Oh, that's right. She did the other book. So she had another book that someone wrote about her.
Right. It's called, I think this one is the last book she had previously was just called Layla, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I mean, I thought she had like a book about herself.
Oh yeah,
like she called herself like a black unicorn or something like that.
Yes,
like, I feel yeah, and because I was like, for her to be called a New York Times bestselling author, she had to have previously, sold the book. I mean, I just think it's great if she's following her passion. I guess now a lot of celebrities want to show that they're versatile. They're not just actors or comedians. I see a lot of them getting into, owning their own liquor and, hair care products, all these other things. I'm not a huge supporter of celebrities, hair care products and things of that nature. I personally prefer to support small businesses. Yeah. I personally just dislike when people that are kind of already at the top want to monopolize on everything. Because they have that platform and it's easy for them to kind of reach customers and easier for them to, get their business booming because they have more money to put into, all types of marketing, just all types of things. I just personally prefer to support them like in their lane. Like if I'm already supporting you in the movie theaters, I probably won't, support your liquor line.
So I mean that speaks to a different point, because in order to be like a celebrity, quote unquote, nowadays, you have to have your hands in many different pots. You got to have the clothing line, you might have the liquor, you might have the shoes, you might have the
I don't support those things.
The app, some type of business app. You might. I mean, your hand is in a lot of different pots. Do you think that takes away from the people who are actually
trying to build an actual career off of
any of those industries?
Yes, I do, and I think that's probably why, like I said, I don't really support it. If I have a friend that starts their own wine company, why would I choose to support a celebrity over my friend? And that's what people do, though. Your friend gets a book published or is trying to get a book published, and you see them just writing away and just like really struggling to get their books out there. It's just kind of hard to just, want to jump on someone who this was never like their passion. This was never like their dream. It's just another stream of income for them. And so for some people, I guess for us little people, these aren't just streams of income. These are like our passions, our dreams that we're trying to get out there. And it's like, it just was easy for you. This was just, you sat down with like your agent and was like, you know what? We need more money. We took a hit from COVID. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying that's what she did. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying in general, just saying so many celebrities now with tequila. I mean, even Kevin Hart just came out with tequila. That's after his homeboy, Dwayne Johnson, has his own tequila. Kendall Jenner has a tequila. I mean, it's like, or vodka or something. It's like, they're all just doing like all these other things. And it's like, no, Kendall, like, I'm not going to support your liquor. Like, I don't care.
Right. Because it makes you miss the old days when celebrities like the basketball, and I don't want to come across like the lady told LeBron James to shut up and shoot. I don't you know what I mean, that you have to stay in your lane. But I think to your point, there has to be a balance, right?
Yeah,
there has to be a balance, because as much as we've seen, and again, I think the book, hopefully the book is a very good book.
Yeah,
I just think that you're right that when celebrities get into certain spaces, we as a people, we as consumers, we as a community, we tend to go to the celebrity. We
like to keep the rich rich and the poor poor. I love it. I think matter of fact, you were a guest hosting for Roland Martin one day, and you had a Black woman on there, and she was talking about entrepreneurship for Black women. And she said that the average Black female entrepreneur only grosses about $24,000 a year.
Yeah.
That's not a lot. I can honestly say, last year was the first year that I quit my job and I just did my entrepreneurial thing. And I did gross over that, but I was still not where I wanted to be, or even really enough to fully sustain my family on my own. And so I think when you're an entrepreneur without the fame of already being on TV and having movies and all this stuff, and you're really, really, really trying to build your brand, it's a lot harder than for someone who already has a brand and has a platform and already has 200 million followers. You know what I mean? On Instagram, you're like, I'm over here with my little 1,500 trying to sell some art kits. You know what I'm saying? So it is a difference. I do think, just for my personal self, I prefer to support small businesses when I can.
And I guess that, when we're talking about culturally, how do we get our people, how do we get our community to see that, hey, the little woman, the little man, the little person, the little business owner is providing, products and services that are just as valuable, and if not more valuable. And when your money goes to the small business versus to the mainstream celebrity platform, you're going to reap the benefits of that. How did we get to that place?
I think one thing, because everyone relies so heavily on social media, even for making purchases, I think we have to boost up our friends, boost up those brands that we know that we love. There's a woman on my page who hosts these amazing picnics. I love, every time I see her post, I like to share them. The girl who did my, I'm not gonna say the girl, but the lovely queen who did my eyebrows. When people ask me, wow, your eyebrows look good, who did your eyebrows? I'm so quick to say, my eyebrows are crazy right now. I'm quick to give them her information, and she's gotten customers and clients off of that. My business was as successful as it was last year because of Black women. Black women were referring me to other Black women to host their paint parties. Most of my stuff didn't even come from social media, to be honest. Most of it actually did come from, hey, I was at one paint party that you did, or hey, so-and-so was at a paint party that you did for them. What are your rates? I would love to book you for a paint party for me. So that's one thing. Black people, unfortunately, it is what it is. We have to show up. And I'm not going to just say Black people. I'm going to say small businesses in general. When a big company makes a mistake, we just say, oh, that must have been just that particular employee. We don't blame the entire company. When a small business has a hiccup, we blame the entire company. So we have to, one, get out of the habit of doing that, accept that all people are human. But then as small business owners, we do kind of have to show up. Like, we have to show people that our product is just as good, or our service is just as good, if not better, than going to one of those larger corporations. And then again, leaving good reviews, sharing the web pages, referring whoever or whatever company you use. If you like a certain candle maker, or there's a certain woman that you go see to make your waist beads, advertise them. It's okay if we're quick to advertise Nike, Jordan, Gucci, because every time you post a picture on your IG or on your social media and you're wearing something and you can see the label, you're doing free advertisement. If you can do free advertisement for Gucci, why can't you do free advertisement for your friend's business?
Right. Excellent point. I think that's a great point. And I think that's why we're in the place that we are in. Janine checked in and said, if a celebrity wants to get into a space and the product is something that is being put back into the community to improve it, what is the issue? And Janine, to your point, I don't think that's an issue. I think that we're talking about, when you overlook, when you make the conscious decision to say, okay, I'm going to buy this. You might have two of the same products. One of them can be makeup, for example. I know that's like, hot.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, why would I buy Tracy Ellis Ross's hair care products when I could buy a Black woman who went to school for, you know what I'm saying? Like, I personally buy Black women-owned products who are Black women who studied, hair, and they created Black women products on their own. They started up a mom and pop, and they've now grown. But why not support them over supporting the celebrity who just decided 3 years ago, let me get into hair, when I could support a smaller business? Like, you're already rich and famous. Like, why would I not support my sister? And I'm not saying my physical sister. I'm just saying like the Black woman over here who is, she's scraping. She's trying to get penny. Like, she's barely making ends meet because she has this dream that she's been working her ass off for. And instead of me supporting her, I'm going to take my tail to Target and I'm going to get Tracy Ellis Ross's. Yeah. That's just me. I'm not judging anyone who's going to choose to get Tracy Ellis Ross's. I'm just saying that's the perspective that I'm coming from. And no one's going to change my perspective on that. I pray that even when I do make a certain amount of money, that I'm still always wanting to put back into my community, and not just by throwing dollars or throwing a good message. I actually want to put my dollars in the community to help them help their families, not just, oh, that's cute. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, it's just not the same for me. Like, I
It's
want to
not the
actually help
same.
Black families that
Yeah.
are struggling. I don't want to continue to help the rich get richer. We're always complaining about this as it is.
Right.
Like, I don't get it.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Well, you know what? We hope then wish the best for Tiffany Haddish's new book. We hope that that is not riddled with grammatical errors, and most
I'm sure it's
importantly,
not.
that the message that the message resonates with so many folks. Folks, we got to take a quick pause. When we come back, Trends Post and Doing the Most. Stay with us. It's The Culture on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
All right, folks, time for Trends Post and Doing the Most, your favorite segment. All right, let's talk about what's trending right now. First and foremost, here's something that's trending. The ex-cop who was a part of the killing of George FLoyd pleads guilty to manslaughter. As part of the plea deal, Mr. Thomas Lane will have a count of aiding and abetting second-degree unintentional murder is dismissed. He was a former Minneapolis police officer. He pled guilty on Wednesday to a state charge of aiding and abetting in the manslaughter and the killing of George FLoyd. And he will have a count in an abetting second-degree unintentional murder dismissed. Him, along with J. Alexander Kuhn and Tu Tao, has already been convicted on federal counts of willfully violating George Floyd's right during that May 2020 restraint that led to George Floyd's death. So the state is recommending a sentence for Lane in the amount of 3 years for just being there, which is below state sentencing guidelines, and has allowed him to serve the time in a federal prison. He has not yet been sentenced in the federal case. Dear, what you thinking about that? Is that justice?
It's better than nothing. I'll say that.
Yeah.
Hopefully it'll set the precedent that, you know, just being there, you're guilty too, because you could step in, you could actually help, you could have changed the trajectory or the outcome of what happened with George Floyd had you had just stepped in and said, hey man, that's not a protocol. You know, I mean, we do it all the time, but again, police have this thing where they're just like, oh, that's my blue bro, I can't check him. But check each other. Like, that's still your brother. It's still your brother, even if you're like, bro, Joe, chill. Like, you know you can't have your knee on somebody's neck like that.
Right.
Let me just you look a little hot and heavy right now. Go ahead over there. I got it. I'm gonna handle it because I could see it's about to get crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, step in when you see like your partner is not handling a situation correctly. So you daggone right. I definitely think that there definitely needs to be some sentencing. He does need to do some jail time, because maybe that will start setting the precedent for other police officers that, you know what, if I don't step in, I'm gonna go to jail too.
Yeah, there it is. There it is. Belinda said Farajii still a slap on the wrist in comparison to the crime, no doubt. And Janae said he better not get his job back ever.
Oh,
not
for
even
sure.
in security. That's where them jokers go. They be like,
you
I'm a
can't
security
even
guard. Or they
they
might get on TV and start teaching us about law enforcement. They're like, but I think you just kill a man. Yeah. All right, folks. Speaking from that, let's switch over to Tulsa, Oklahoma. Here's a great story to end today's show with. The 3 known living survivors of the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre are receiving a $1 million donation from a New York philanthropic organization. It's called Business for Good, and the co-founders are Eddie and Lisa Mitson. They say that 100-year-old Viola Ford Fletcher, 107-year-old Leslie Benefield Randall, and 101-year-old Hughes Van Ellis will share the donation. They get $1 million. Mr. Ed Mitson said that he was prompted to make the donation after reading news reports about the massacre, and they are just happy to give them something. So if they give $1 million, split it among 3 people, $333,000 a piece, roughly. They probably going to take some taxes out of that. I think that's pretty good for a 100-plus-year-old individual. What you think?
I think it's beautiful. I think for them, it's not even about the money. It's just that it gives you a little bit of level of peace. I think just to be recognized and to be honored, and it's kind of even in some ways to me like a centennial gift, because they're all over the age of 100 years old, and we know that like to make it to be even 100 years old is such a rarity, even still in today's time. So I just think that it's so beautiful, and that they get to, when they pass on, they get to pass on with that little bit of peace, knowing that even if it was just the slightest right, even though it took so long, we want to be acknowledged. Yep. We want someone to say, I am sorry. And I know that this is not enough, but it's what I have to give. And I'm really, really sorry that I can't give more, but I do want you to know that we do see you. And we are sorry for what happened, not only to you, but to everybody, every family that was impacted, dead or alive, every business, every brick. You know what I mean? I think it's just a beautiful thing.
Yeah, Cheryl Lee checked in and said, no more talking, please. All action now. Cheryl, I'm with you 100%. I think that's the great way. Vincent, you checked in. Vincent Morales said, good start. Oil King, on the other hand, said, crumbs. The government owes them. Condo collapse victims get $997 million.
But this wasn't given to them from the government.
Yeah.
This wasn't given. So that's another thing you have to look at. This is not money from the government. And this is why paying attention and reading is like comprehension. We didn't say the government gave them this money. This is money from someone who did not have to give them money at all.
Yeah, this is just money just because.
Yeah, this is like, bro, like this is
the love offering.
Yeah, like this is not the government giving them money. This was a company saying, you know what? We want to give them. Come on, people.
Yeah. I agree.
Hold up, because we're about to end this. I know it, but this is a perfect moment for me to share this lesson I was teaching my students yesterday.
All right, go ahead.
People need to stop listening to respond and listen to understand. Boom.
Wait a minute, hold up.
Stop listening.
What you say?
Stop listening to respond, Mr. Muhammad. Y'all see, now that people can see the issues we have. He makes me repeat myself often.
Stop listening to respond. Listen to understand.
My oldest son.
Yo, you are hilarious. No, that's a great lesson, and I think that especially now, that's a great lesson. I'm just tell you.
I'm saying, because even adults don't do it. It's like you just ignored everything that I said, and you just wanted to wait for me to stop talking so that you could respond, but you didn't actually listen to anything that I said.
We do that all the time.
We do it all the time, and it just shows our lack of maturity in those moments. I'm not gonna say you're not mature at all. I'm gonna say in those moments.
Well, let me just say, look, this is another little tidbit. This is something I was listening to. You know, the golden rule. You want to know what justice is. If you want to know how to get further along in life, then just exemplify and practice the golden rule, which is do unto others as you wouldn't have them do unto you.
Mm-hmm. That is so hard for so many people.
Woo! We dropping jewels today. All right, Nira Muhammad, host of Green Talks with Nira, the podcast. Also, she's an artist. She's a writer. There we go. And of course, you can find her. You start playing. You're preparing for season 3, but you're doing some classic shows with your podcast from season 2. Is that correct?
Yeah, I've been dropping my weekly show of the week I'm highlighting different shows or episodes that kind of fit what I'm going through at the time. Because I swear, y'all, I love listening to my podcast. It's funny because I'm like, that's not me, but I really do love listening to it because sometimes, I think it's just like being a writer. Sometimes you can go back and you're like, you actually can learn lessons from yourself because the spirit just kind of takes over you in that moment, and you're like, damn, I needed that too. So whatever comes out, season 3, it'll be popping off probably in July. I just have a lot of big things coming up over the next, couple of months, but July for sure. I cannot wait to get back on my microphone. I miss it so much.
There we go. Nir Muhammad, always a pleasure to have you. And most importantly, thank you for being so good for the culture. All right, folks, that's going to do it for us. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you show your support for Black Star Network. Go to our website right now, blackstarnetwork.com, where you can give, where you can show your support for unfiltered, unadulterated, unapologetic Black-owned media. Support us now through all of those platforms. And most importantly, let your friends and family know that they too can check us out each and every day. Check out some of the past shows. We've been rocking and rolling, folks. Rocking and rolling. Culture Crew has been on point, and so many of your comments. I love reading your comments and keeping you engaged in these discussions. So keep the comments going, keep the conversations going. And of course, you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. There go my handle right at the bottom. Check in with me. Holla at your man. Let me know what's good. We're going to be preparing for some outreach. We're going to be hitting the streets very, very soon. So trust and believe, as it gets warmer outside, we back outside. As it gets warmer, the culture will be there on the ground to make sure we keep you connected to all of the latest news and the latest cultural events that are happening in Baltimore and beyond. All right, stay tuned. Up next is my big brother with Roland Martin Unfiltered at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But as always, never be afraid to challenge what's wrong. Stand for what's right while being yourself in the process, God willing. We look forward to chatting with you and having another great set of conversations tomorrow for another exciting edition of The Culture right here on the Black Star Network. Talk to you soon, family. Peace.